Well, hello, and how are you, Grumps?
Good, doing good.
Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
Yeah, we did. Matter of fact, uh,
You were in the mountains, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, in North Georgia.
Yeah,
We even
around
had,
up around J.
yeah, yeah, not too far from LJ, Blue Ridge.
Yeah, we
Uh,
had some friends that were had. Matter of fact, I thought it was ironic. Had some friends that were up there as well during that same time frame as y'all.
you remember that? You remember that picking place you went to because the Pickers
Oh
TV
yeah,
show?
yeah.
That,
I remember.
we were right there. We went by it, and I said, "That's where the Pickers went." I said, Brian went in there, and I was telling Rich, you'd gone in there looking at an outboard motor or something.
Yeah, and they would think they wanted like three prices for it or something. They
Mm-hmm.
And some people think that the old outboards are worth a ton of money, but they're actually not.
A good boat anchor.
Absolutely. So, anyway, so what have you been up to since you got back? It's another Saturday for you, right?
It's another Saturday, yeah, or Monday, or Thursday, or whatever I need it to be.
Must be nice being retired. Well,
It is.
I hadn't talked to you and since I don't know when we last talked about that video I put out about my what happened to me with FedEx and all. But for whatever reason, that video has decided to take back off again and is getting well, let's see, it was about 300 or 400 views an hour a little while ago. So, and
Wow.
it's almost at 40,000 views. So, yeah, algorithm really picked it up and took off with it again. It had lulled down to about 50 views an hour for a long time, and just the other day it skyrocketed, and that was like first time I had a video do that. So, all right,
Well,
so let's get on with what we came to talk about. We are uh, what I always say on this channel, we try to keep things real, and we try to tell the good and the bad, even when it's against some people that we know and love. But we're going to start out with a story on add this to the stage, and start out with a good story regarding Toyota. And they are in the process of beginning to get a company to do some recycling for them. They this came from the Automotive Dive. It is a media outlet that I have started subscribing to because they have pretty good content and give pretty good information. And I was noticing the other day, I was reading, it's Toyota's to source recycled EV battery material from Redwood Materials. That's the name of the corporation that's going to be doing it for them. They're going to use recycled materials to produce batteries and in its forthcoming North Carolina EV battery manufacturing plant, which I thought was pretty interesting. And they went on to say Toyota will source the cathode material and anode copper foil from battery recycler Redwood Materials. The company's announced last week the automaker will use recycled materials to produce batteries at its upcoming North Carolina battery manufacturing plant. Redwood aims to supply Toyota with at least 20% of recycled nickel and lithium, 50% recycled cobalt, and 100% recycled copper for battery cell production. Just a move. All right. The agreement will help Toyota establish a domestic supply chain for batteries and build on previous agreement with Redwood that would focus on collecting, testing, and recycling Toyota hybrid electric vehicle batteries. Toyota plans to recycle, remanufacture, and repurpose nearly 5 million operating units, according to the company. Let's see. One of the things it's going to do is help to reduce their cost. And one of the things they said was these crucial materials are currently manufactured entirely overseas and imported, leaving automakers heavily reliant on suppliers outside the U.S., including companies in China. So they're trying to become more independent and be able to have their own source so they won't have to rely on anybody else. It said they went on to say that they will be recycling enough to manufacture enough cells for nearly 1 million EVs per year. What was the other thing? From Toyota, will continue to work toward sourcing and recycling battery materials here in the United States to maximize these precious resources and to reduce our carbon footprint in the process. And it was Sean Suggs, president of Toyota Manufacturing North Carolina. They're going to spend $14 billion with a B in battery production facility in North Carolina in 2025 when it comes online. In February of 2022, Ford and Volvo have also signed an agreement with Redwood Materials to recycle end-of-life battery packs from hybrid and EVs in California. Well, all I can say about all that is I'm glad to see that they're doing something in order to try to, because there's just not enough minerals in the ground as it is to be just letting these that they've already got out there. I mean, what are you going to do with them? The only thing you can do with them is recycle them. So, what you got, Gramps? Anything on that?
No, I was just I just thought it was a good idea and to recycle because China's got the big on the lithium batteries. They're the ones with the most resources, and I would hate to think that we'd wind up having to depend on China to get EV batteries if we're going to all have to drive an EV car.
Well, yeah, because China has gone around the world and they have been buying up lithium mines around the world. And if we're not careful, they were going to corner the market and we will be beholden to them for everything. We were already beholden to them back when I had my heart attack and I was on the blood thinner Brilinta. Guess where it's made? The only place in the world it's made is in China. So we really need to try to diversify and not be dependent upon one area or one arena for our for something that's important. If this is going to be the standard and they're going to make us all go to electric, we definitely need to be diversified in where we're getting our resources. Well, let's move on to another topic. Gramps, have you ever had a vehicle stolen from you?
Not yet.
Not yet.
No.
Okay. Well,
but I got one. I drive one of the an older vehicle, but it's still one of the hottest vehicles in the market for stealing.
And yours still takes a standard key, right?
Yeah.
Well, my vehicle takes one of these. It's that the key fob, and it works off the RFID. And you don't even you just have to have it in the vehicle. You don't even have to have it. Don't have to stick it in the slot. Don't have to turn it. Don't have to do anything. That's a modern vehicle. That's the way they've gone. Well, let's take a look at this. These new vehicles, these the car thieves have come up with a way to walk up to your house in the middle of the night and intercept that RFID signal. And I've seen some of these stories here in the United States. This happens to be a story I found that came out of Canada. It was from the Global News, and they had 29 Toyota Highlanders stolen in the Waterloo region. This is up around Ontario. And let's see, they had 12 stolen this year. Let's see, when was the date of this? This article is a little old. It's actually back on June the 5th, 2023. And but
it probably hadn't changed anything.
No, it hadn't. It's only grown, I'm sure. But it says it's a growing trend across Ontario, prompting police to issue a warning to the area residents over the weekend. On May the 29th, police said 2 of the vehicles were stolen from the front of a home on Arthur Foch Drive in Cambridge in a span of hours. In both cases, SUVs were newer with remote keyless entry and push-button start technology. Police are warning those who drive Toyota Highlanders as well as other SUVs and pickup trucks from such manufacturers as Land Rover, Ford, Dodge. Folks, this is anybody who, if you have a keyless or with a remote start fob and you don't have to have a key in the ignition, this affects you.
If it's in your pocket or in your purse, and it
Right.
can be anywhere. They can follow you out and they follow you in the parking lot. When you go in, they could pick it up off your body and go back. When you come back out, your car be gone.
The car's gone because they've already intercepted the signal. In a relay theft situation, thieves approach a home, and they do this at night and search for a signal from the key fob. And some of the videos and things I've seen from some of these other news stories about it, they show the guys and they're walking around, and they got this strange wire, and it's an antenna, and it helps to magnify and capture the signal, and they relay it and to the vehicle, and boom, then they're in, and the vehicle thinks that, oh, key's here, I'll start. Then they, of course, then they steal the vehicle, and it happens, since it, like it says here, since the theft occurs overnight, police say the homeowner doesn't discover the theft until the morning, and by the time you probably discover it, it's either in a shipping container or has been, broken, cut into 1,000 pieces to be sold. They're saying that these will get into the vehicle and access the vehicle's diagnostics. Then the bandits reprogram a blank fob, and they can make off with the vehicle. These high-tech thefts are becoming more and more prevalent, but let's talk about ways to prevent this. They're offering ways, of course, park your vehicle inside, including parking a vehicle in a garage, and buying a device that blocks access to the vehicle's diagnostic port, and keeping the key fob in a frequency shielding container. That is probably the most effective way to prevent that. You were talking about this just before we came on air. We were talking about it, and what was it that you said? The RFID.
Yeah, you just need to have something to put your key in. That because you even need that for your credit cards nowadays. You need a wallet with an RFID ID or whatever it is.
It's RFID block.
Yeah, you need to block your credit cards.
Right.
So they can do the same thing with a credit card.
Yeah,
it's getting more and more sophisticated. That's all, and it's not going to matter unless you put it in something to block the signal. Like I said, if you got one of them and you walking out, you drive your car down to get something at Lowe's or at Home Depot. If they were mine to, they could be in the parking lot picking up different signals from different people going into the store, and you could come back out and your car would be gone if you just threw it in your pocket, because your pocket ain't going to keep the signal from being transmitted.
No, it takes some stuff. It says it's RFID blocking, and if you want to do it on the very cheap copper wire mesh bag, you can buy a copper wire and fashion you one of your own. But they're not that expensive. If you want to go on, you can look at them. You can see them on Amazon. If you'll type in RFID blocking or anything like, key bag. I'm trying to think all the different search terms I used the other day when I was looking them up. But they have a bag that you can put. It has places for your credit cards. It has places for your key. It has a place for all that stuff. And then you can either put it in your pocket, or if you're a lady, put it in your purse. And you can prevent that from happening. They're also encouraging people to install a surveillance system that records 24 hours a day. I guess that is so that you can
wave goodbye to your car.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. You have video evidence to go, bye. Send something to your insurance company as you file a claim. So, oh boy. Yeah, I would absolutely be so pissed if I came out and my car was gone. We work so hard for our stuff, and then have somebody actually steal it. It's ridiculous. All right, so moving to the next topic, we covered some recalls last time. We covered some believe it was the RAV4, and a battery that, if it wasn't tied down properly, it's potentially burn your car to the ground. That was like 2015 to 2018, I think. And we had, right after they announced that, Highlander came out, and they said that if you weren't careful, the front lip and bumper could fall off your fourth gen Highlander, and they're going to be issuing a recall on that. Well, was thumbing through recalls the other day, and I came across this little news nugget, and it's involves Honda this time. Also, a very reputable, generally reputable car manufacturer. They've had their problems, as has Toyota, with oil consumption over the years, but this is a little bit different. Honda recalls nearly 250,000 vehicles because bearings can fail and cause engine to run poorly or stall. Well, Honda is going to recall nearly 250,000 vehicles in the U.S. because of the bearing failures, and the vehicles that are going to be covered are certain 2018 and 2019 Honda Pilots, SUVs, Odyssey minivans, 2017 to 2019 Ridgeline pickup trucks. Also affected are certain 2015 to 2020 Acura TLX cars and some 2016 to 2020 Acura MDX SUVs. Honda says in a document posted Friday by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration that, it's a mouthful, that the connecting rod bearings in the engine can wear and seize due to a manufacturing error, damaging the engines, and they could run properly or stall while being driven, and increasing the risk of a fire, crash, or injury. I don't know how it would cause a fire, but okay, if they say so.
It could if you threw a rod out the side of the block, it could cause a fire.
I suppose, depending on, that's possible. Honda has come out and said in a document that they have had 1,450 warranty claims due to the problem, but no reports of injuries. It says they will repair or replace engines if needed, and owners should be notified by mail starting January the 2nd. You don't often hear of bearing failures. I know that the Honda a few years ago had a problem with oil consumption, and it wasn't the rings. It was, I forget what it had to do. It was something with their cylinder deactivation or something, and it was actually causing it to suck oil back through the PCV system and going through the intake, and that was a whole thing back in the day. Got a couple more slides. This was the actual U.S. Department of Transportation, the letter that was issued. For whatever reason, it did not come out clearly, so we will move on from that.
Hang on a minute while you're there.
Okay.
Why are you talking about engine problems?
Sure.
As you know, I got a friend that's got his own shop.
Yeah.
And he got a Kia, 2017 Kia or something like 2617.
Oh, okay.
And, guy brought it in and check engine light on. He looked at it, knock sensor showed a knock sensor problem.
Mm-hmm.
And he was not familiar with the car where the knock sensor was, and he asked me if I could look it up and help him find the knock sensor location.
Right.
And I said, yeah, I can do that. But I said that I've read stories that these engines are making the knock sensor go off. The engines are, but it's not because of fuel detonation or anything like that. It's because the rods are knocking. Because all it is a knock sensor.
The rod bearings are setting off the knock sensor.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I told him, I said it might very well be the engine rods, engine bearings going bad. I said, because they've had some problems with Kias doing that. So he took it back to his dealer where he bought it. They looked at it and said, yep, you need an engine. Well, they're in the process of them checking it out, and they're going to put the engine in. So During the process of checking the engine out, they found the oil sending unit where it plugs onto the block, where the sender plugs onto the sensor,
Right.
the plug. Oil was going back through the sensor into the wiring harness. And they said he had gotten down the wiring harness and had creeped over to the computer. That was the initial report. But as they tore into it, they found out it only went down the wiring harness just a little ways. It didn't get all the way back to the computer. So they said you don't need a computer, but you do need a wiring harness because it's been contaminated with oil. Only a place about 1.5 feet, 2 foot long. They said, but you need a whole new wiring harness, and that's $13,000. And that's not on a warranty.
Excuse me?
It's $13,000.
Say that. No. Say that really slow. How much for a wiring harness?
$13,000 for a Kia. That's probably more than Kia's worth.
$13,000 for a wiring harness.
That's what they told him.
Is it made of gold?
I don't know. It must be. But anyway, he said, I can't afford that. Put the engine in, I'll take the car and take my chances.
Is he going to take it back over to your buddy and have him work on it?
He's going to bring it back over and get him to clean it up, clean the wiring harness up, and I think then he's going to try to sell it while it's got a new motor in it.
Yeah, hasta la vista to that. Get that on out of my life. $13,000 for a wiring harness. Good grief.
It's probably more than the car's worth.
Yeah,
being a Kia,
2017 Kia, that's probably all it's worth. It might be worth it $13,000. Good grief! More nightmare stories. Ugh. All right. Well, you shared something with me earlier when we were talking off air, and this is where we talk about sharing the ugly, even when it involves one of our favorite manufacturers. When somebody does wrong, they just do wrong, and we're going to talk about it. This is wrong. So I'm going to try to do this as seamlessly as possible because I'm not real familiar with screen share, but I want to tell y'all about this. This was a story, and there's several news stories out there about this, and this one's the one I chose from Reuters. It's fairly short, and let's do a quick screen share, and we'll talk about it. Toyota was doing some not so good stuff. They've been fined $60 million for lending abuses, and they're tarnishing credit reports. And when I read this article, I was like, "What in the world? Why would they do this? I don't know how Toyota Motor Corporation would allow this. This is their financing division, and they're located out of Plano, Texas. And this article came out just the other day. I believe it was November the 20th. So when this article came out, and they've been charged $60 million to settle, U.S. regulators are charging it illegally prevented car buyers from canceling unwanted product bundles that increase their monthly loan payments and tarnishing their credit reports. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, never even heard of these people, but apparently this is some government agency, on Monday said Toyota Motor Credit, the automaker's U.S.-based lending arm, will pay $12 million in a civil fine and $48 million to car buyers harmed since 2016. It's been going on for a hot minute. Toyota Motor Credit, based on here it is, Plano, Texas, provides financing for people who buy vehicles at Toyota dealerships with nearly 5 million customer accounts as of October 2022. Monday's settlement concerned add-on products totaling typically costing $700 to $2,500 per loan. And if $700 to $2,500, and then you multiply that out by 5 million, somebody got greedy. That's plain and simple there. They provide protections when vehicles are damaged, stolen, or out of warranty, and when car buyers die or become disabled. So basically, this is a gap insurance,
Yeah.
what it looks like, and other probably extended warranty products or something along that
Yeah,
lines.
extended warranty, and there's a whole
list.
there's a whole list of stuff. There's a really in-depth article you can find. I think it was in Kiplinger magazine online. But, there's a lot of stuff they can tack on.
Right, and well, it's from $700 to $2,500. Yeah, and according to the CFPB, thousands of borrowers complained to Toyota Motor Credit that dealers lied about whether these products were mandatory or rushed the paperwork so they would not realize how much they were paying. And I'm sure this is going to add, and it's this stuff's got interest probably piled on top of it because they throw it in with the financing.
Mm-hmm.
The regulator said Toyota Motor Credit made it extremely cumbersome to cancel the bundles, including by routing more than 118,000 borrowers to a hotline where agents were instructed to dissuade cancellations and often fail to provide refunds. Toyota Motor Credit also accused of falsely, and when I read this earlier, this really made me mad because I worked hard to get my credit rating up. Toyota Motor Credit was also accused of falsely telling credit reporting agencies that borrowers had missed payments and failing to promptly correct negative information for more than 27,500 borrowers. I don't know what the benefit for them in that was, because but it went on to say, under a consent order and without admitting or denying liability, Toyota Motor Credit agreed to make it easy to cancel unwanted product bundles. It also agreed to a more closely monitor dealer conduct, ensure that employees' pay and performance metrics were not tied to sales of the bundle. Toyota did not immediately respond to requests for comment. They probably will not. It would be my guess. They're probably not going to comment. They're just going to hope that one just quietly goes away.
Yeah, they're not going to admit, yeah, we did that, and they're just going to let it be quiet as possible. When somebody asks for a comment, they're going to say, no comment. No comment. It's been settled. It's been settled.
Right. They can't convict you for what you did not say. Yeah, there's a lot that goes along with being quiet and not saying anything, because they cannot convict you for what you did not say.
So the bad part is Toyota's reputation has been, a reliable, good transportation for the cars. But if you're screwing people over, pretty soon they're going to. It might be a reliable car, but if you go there, you're going to get screwed over. That ain't a good look. That ain't a good look.
It's a terrible look. Because like you said, they've always been known to be reliable, and why in the world? Well, I just have to, wonder. This is an offshoot of Toyota, and it's not like Toyota corporate, and they probably got a whole separate operating, and a whole separate management, financial. Right, it's over here on the financial wing, and Toyota corporate, it's over here building cars and trying to do the right thing and put together good stuff. They're not looking. They weren't looking. They just weren't paying that enough attention. I bet you that the Japanese guys, the big CEOs over there, will be looking at this very closely. We'll never see the internal memos. I would like to be a fly on the wall for that conversation, because Toyota, Toyda, people are still at the corporation. As of a few years ago, they were anyway. And Japanese are generally pretty honorable people. So I just would love to be a fly on the wall and get some of these communications.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Indeed. Well, Gramps, we have been on here. How long have we been on? We've only been on about 30 minutes, and we've kind of run the gamut. You got anything, or are we going to cut this one short today?
Some of the dealers are complaining about having having trouble selling cars, so they're offering some pretty good deals now. Go in and with the right information, you can keep from getting screwed over by Toyota or Ford or any of those people. All of them have something similar. The EVs are piling up, which everybody knows that they're piling up. They can't get rid of them, can't sell them. And Ford announced that they're returning everybody's down payment. Like if you wanted a Bronco or a Maverick, you had to go in, order what you want, put down a sizable down payment. Then they would build it and call you when it's ready, and you go pick it up. They canceled all of those. If it hasn't been built, but you're going to get your deposit back. Like if you went in and yours has been built, and I went in a little while later and it hasn't been built, I'm going to get my money back. You're going to get a car or Maverick or a Bronco, but I'm not going to get one. I'm going to get my money back because they've stopped building them.
So that they're not going to continue building them. They have canceled.
They may pick it up later, but right now, any of them that's not been built, you're going to refund the people's money. They're going to stop building them for a while.
I do know this: when the Broncos first came out, they're great looking vehicles, and they were all the rage. And I see them fully outfitted now, and they got a whole industry to just outfitting these stupid things.
Yeah.
But they had, I don't have any articles on it where I could pull up, but I do know I read a bunch of articles and saw a bunch of stuff on them where the engines were just going away on these things left and right. Did they give a reason why that they're not?
No, they didn't. Just said they were going to refund the money for unbuilt units.
And they're just not, and they're just going to hit the pause button on building.
Yeah, for a while.
Well, I read articles recently, and I almost put some of those up for this live stream where we talk about them. But the GM and Ford and what the other one was, there was another one, have kind of pulled back on building EVs for a little while because it's just like you said, they're not, they're saying the market's kind of saturated with EVs right now. And what it just tells me is if the market's saturated with EVs, it means that people aren't buying them.
They're sitting on lots full of them.
Right.
And nobody's adopting it like they thought they would. There was a little hot buzz at first when everybody was getting $7,500 checks to buy one.
Oh yeah, the government has taken that away, haven't they?
So, it's $7,500 incentive to buy one, and you could probably get them to give you $15,000 and take the car back. They'd do that.
Probably.
Anybody that's going to drive one of them across country where they got to stop and charge them every 250, 300 miles.
Right, and unless you've got a $75,000 Tesla that'll go, I think it's what, 400 or 450,
something like that.
But they're $70 or $75,000 for the thing.
Well, they're trying to. Some of the when we talked about who was when we first talked about the early on here today, which was one of the first stories we talked about.
The first story, we're talking about the battery recycling.
Okay. Who's next?
Theft, and okay. then Honda.
No, maybe we didn't talk about it, but investors, the article, you could only read the one paragraph of it, how they had investors looking at the car. The bubble had popped.
I may have that on my phone.
That's a Barron. They said the bubble had popped.
That was on that Barron article that you sent me.
Yeah.
We were discussing this offline. So you can get over here.
But the
We got all kinds of comments over here, and I've been sleeping on them. Mr. Fox can fix it. Mr. Fox has been on here with us, and my buddy Hathcock has been on here. Yes, Rob, I'm drinking coffee. Let's see. From Fox Can Fix It Garage, his comment was, Nevada or Southeast California has just found to have possibly the largest lithium deposit in the world. Have you heard that?
no, but
And this is a friend and fellow YouTuber, Chris Fox. Let's see. The Subaru Brat uses an FID on the key fob. No, it does not. Yeah, there you go. Hey, Chris says I'll stick this on the screen. Here, there's a fix right there for your theft.
yeah.
That'll fix it.
Well, they'll probably steal your converter first and then go.
Yeah, he commented down here, 13,000 man, copper prices really gone up on that wiring harness.
Yeah. But chances are it's aluminum or something else besides copper. Or it's the world's thinnest.
Yeah, that's a lot of yen. Good grief. Oh, we were talking about that Barron article that you sent me. I was going to see if I could find it.
Well, basically all it says is it's got a group of investors looking at the EV market.
Right.
And they're noticing that the sales aren't what they anticipated them to be, but everybody's pushing toward EV. So what investors are trying to do is find out if their manufacturers, all manufacturers, can get to where they can make a cheaper, more affordable car for the masses. So,
and I did read an article where they were talking that Tesla is working, and they're diligently trying to work on getting an affordable EV to add to their line. And to get an affordable EV, it's going to have to be comparable to a gas vehicle in price, because that they're going to need to get something in the $30,000 range.
Exactly.
The cheapest ICE vehicle they have right now, the cheapest ICE vehicle that you can buy is, I think it is $20,000. Period. And that I saw that on the PBD podcast, and they were talking, and this thing is just, I mean, I can't remember. It may be a Mitsubishi. It's like, I think it may be even a 3-cylinder. It's a Cracker Jack box. You might use it to commute back and forth to work, but you're not fixing to set out across country in this thing.
Well, they're coming back with the electrified Yugo.
Do what? Hey. All right, Paul Harvey. Let's have the rest of this story.
It's a 4-door model, and it's called the WeGo.
Yeah.
No, anyway. Let's see. Oh, this was a surprise. The used EV market has fallen in the prices on used EVs has fallen 29% over the last month or so.
The last month? The reason why? Did they say why?
Nobody wants them. They're used vehicles. It dropped 29% in some markets, not all of them. And, sometimes some markets prices are different across the U.S.,
Well, you told me this a while back, and what is, see if you can remember the numbers, because I read it recently, but I can't remember it. How the brain is terrible. the cost of replacing a battery in an EV vehicle can be upwards of
7,000, something around 7
to 20,000.
Yeah,
I remember the outside line.
but it's between. But it's, it depends on the range and the power and all that.
And that's the cost of the battery. That's not even the labor to put it in.
No,
correct?
Right, just the battery.
So
then that's the reason when Toyota had the hybrid, they got it figured out. They got a little battery. It's about.
It's a pod.
Yeah, it's sealed in a sealed compartment.
Right.
Water and dust and dirt can't get to.
A full-grown man can pick it up and move it, because I've seen some videos on some Priuses where people were taking them on their own and breaking them down and testing the packs and finding a bad cell and actually just replacing that, whatever the cell was that was bad.
Well, here's something else about the Tesla. I saw on the financial report the other day that Tesla's got about 12% of the EV market right now.
Right.
But in the future, within the next 4 to 5 years, they're predicting that some of the analysts are saying that they're going to figure out how to get the car cheaper where more people can buy it. And Tesla's going to have 60% of the market because they're working hard to get an affordable vehicle that more people can get their hands on.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, don't bet against Elon Musk. Elon Musk is a smart man, and he will figure out how to get it done.
Well, that's what they're some of the analysts, and the people that study that, all they want to know is how to make money. They don't care about the car. All they want to know is how to make money on the stock,
Right. The investors.
Yeah.
Well,
but they're predicted to have 60% of the market within the next 5 years.
Well, with these other companies, hitting the pause button on production, like I said, GM, Ford, and all those guys they've slowed down producing them, and he's full speed ahead. They're not. I don't think Elon Musk is backing off of anything. He may be backing off of building the really expensive ones and putting his focus on providing a vehicle for the masses, because that's the only way this is going to work. Another article, and I should have put this slide together to talk about, was the Ford has gone together with a company, and they're starting in Colorado, and they're going to be adding charge stations. They've got together and they're building charge stations. And like I said, it's starting in Colorado. I may still have the slides. I don't know that I can put them on screen, but I can go across. Let's see if I still have them. We can talk about them. No, maybe I didn't keep them. That's okay. But like I said, Ford is trying to establish and help build the charge network that it's going to take to make this happen. And when I read that article, I'm like, okay, that's all well and good. You may have a place to plug it up, but do we have enough generation power? Are we able to generate enough power to do all this stuff?
Maybe
to charge these batteries. And I think this isn't said often enough, but at one time, and I think it's still the case, that over 50% of our power generation comes from coal-fired power plants.
It's Excel Energy. I had it on my tablet. I had it a little while ago. It's in Colorado and Wisconsin.
Yeah, that's it. And it's Ford and XL Energy have gone together.
Yeah, XL Energy going to install 30,000 EV chargers for
Yeah.
commercial fleets. This is what
Yes.
they're focusing on.
Right. That's the beginning.
So, and another Ford and was building a huge plant. I forgot how big it was for making batteries, manufacturing batteries.
Yes.
They cut that battery plant size wise down by 40%, and that was going to be in Michigan. Ford was building they're still going to build the building, the plant, but it's not going to be as big. It's going to be 40% of what it's supposed to be.
Did they say why that they cut it back? Or
Well, because of the sales aren't doing what they thought they were going to do, you know. So that this was for individual cars, for not a fleet, but for consumers cars. And it was, since they already got a backlog of consumer cars, you know, they don't need a whole bunch of batteries.
well, they're going to have to get it. They're going to have to learn and understand that the American people, we want to be able to get in our car and go somewhere and not have to worry about hitting a charge station. We want to be able to fill it up and head on down the road. And we've said it before. It is, we just don't think it's the right way. The hybrid, where you can be on battery power in town or to run to your local grocery store, and then when you hit the interstate, boom, you're back on gas. And even when you're on gas, you're getting 35 to 40 miles to gallon, and in some cases 50. The ICE vehicle, I don't think is dead yet. So
No, but I think it'll eventually get there, but it's going to be better by building a less expensive car, having better battery technology. But I think it'll eventually get there. But I don't know if it'll get there as fast as they're trying to get it pushed in right now.
we don't have the technology yet. We just don't. Not yet. I probably won't be alive to see it.
Well, I'm sorry to hear you say that, because I was figuring on being around. So.
Okay, well, when you get to heaven, tell me how it turned out.
One, I heard this on somebody's channel the other day, and I can't remember exactly who. It may have been Kilmer.
Oh, Scotty.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But he made a good point. And
Okay, he does occasionally make a good point. He's not always off the rails.
About the batteries. At like Hertz rental, car rental, you know, you go rent they got 30%, I think it is, of their fleet is going to be battery.
Right.
EV.
I see every other ad seems like on YouTube now is a Hertz rental car ad. EV ad. Yes.
When you rent a car, as you well know, when you're signing the car out, they say, do you want to fill it up with gas, or do you want us to fill it up when you get back?
Okay.
And if you fill it up before you get there, you know, you may get back in town with a half a tank of gas. Well, if you fill it up, then you got to bear half a tank of gas. But if you tell them to fill it up, if you show up with a half a tank of gas, you'll be paying for gas that you didn't use. You know,
okay. Right.
They're going to charge you for a complete tank of gas. They're not going to charge you what you bring it back. They just, when you sign it, they're going to say, okay, this car's got a 15-gallon tank, so it's $3 a gallon, so it's going to cost $45 added onto your bill, when you could get it cheaper by doing it yourself. My question is, if they do that with a battery, how, you know, how you know how much they're going to charge it to charge the battery back up? You ain't going to be able to charge it up at your house.
No.
You know, you're not going to be able to bring it back up with a full battery. So how much are they going to charge you extra to charge the thing back up?
And initially, in these beginning days of this, are they going to just not charge anything and they're going to eat that charge? But eventually, they're going to start charging that because one of the things that I have read about charging an EV is they said from empty to full, depending on the charge station that you're using and all that, just, all things being equal, let's just say they were saying it's about $12 to fully charge your depleted battery. So, I mean, it's not a free ride.
Well, I've seen people say that, that actually own them and have a YouTube channel or know somebody with YouTube, they wind up getting charged $50 and $60 to charge one back up.
Why are they being charged that much? What's the reasoning?
Because it's like it's a surcharge or something on some of the charging stations. I'll find one on the next time we get up here, and I'll.
Okay, so are you talking about possibly they're using a Tesla provided charge station and they're charging an off-brand car? Is that could that be part of the reasoning?
And another thing that Tesla does or has been accused of doing, because I don't own an EV, I don't know for a fact that it has a way of knowing it's not a Tesla.
Correct.
And they cut the charging time, extended charging time. Instead, if they pull up there in a Tesla, you might be able to charge it in 2 hours. And if you roll up there in a Chevrolet, it's going to take you 5 hours.
Right. They throttle it. I have heard of some cases like that. I've also heard that if there's some other things about the Tesla, if you're not using, I don't know enough about it to be able to speak to it, but I'm trying to think of the right terminology. Because what is that guy's name that rebuilds the Teslas and he's working really hard? Rich Rebuilds.
Yeah.
He had a lot of problems getting them to allow his Tesla, because it's no longer certified through Tesla because it's a rebuilt, and they weren't wanting to allow him to charge it through a Tesla charger. And I know he had gone through a bunch of stuff trying to get it released to where he could charge it with a Tesla charger on the rapid charge. And have you heard this about the Teslas? They want you to keep your charge between 20 to 80%. That's kind of like a butter zone where they want you to keep it. Charging it, they say charging it to 100% is not necessary. And I was listening to it was a Joe Rogan podcast where Elon Musk was on there, and he talked about how the battery charges and why the 20% to 80% is faster than the 80%. He said it probably takes longer for the 80% to 100% than the 20 to 80. And he equated it to, he said, if you go into a parking lot and all the cars are pulling into a parking lot, everybody has to find a parking space. He said, well, all the electrons, when they're first dumping into the battery, it's really easy to find a parking spot. And once you get past that 80%, he said, and everything starts filling up, he said that it takes longer for the electrons to find their parking spot. And I was like, well, okay, that's pretty good analogy, and it makes perfect sense. So that's what he was saying about the charging, and one of the reasons it took so long to get it charged, and that's why they're saying run 20 to 80% in your battery for longevity.
Well, they'd be curious to see what somebody in our northern climate, like in Canada, Winnipeg, all up on the northeast, all up on the northeast, how the cold is going to affect these EVs as far as how often you have to charge them.
Yeah, in the real world, how long is your charge going to last? Because this thing's got to run an electric heater. And I've heard some stuff anecdotally about it, and people talking about that that they've done okay, and that they weren't stranded, but they were concerned about being stranded because they got stuck out on the interstate, and it was a bad accident. It was ice and snow and stuff on the ground, and they were stuck. So, I don't know. We're going to be, forced into this sooner than later, apparently. So we're going to start finding
I
this
don't
kind of
know.
stuff out.
I think it's slowing down a little bit. It's going to eventually get here, but I don't know if it's going to do what the initially wanted to happen.
Well,
it's going to get here.
Right. You just need to look at the. They're trying to electrify 18-wheelers, and I forget what they said. The battery size and weight, it ate up so much of the truck's capacity to be able to pull itself into into cargo it can haul. And then how long does it take to charge that big monster of a battery? So. All right, Gramps. Well, I think we have been on here. We are coming up right at the top of the hour. I'd like to thank Rob for coming in, dropping by and seeing us, and Chris Fox over there at Fox Can Fix It Garage. If you've never seen Fox Can Fix It, you go check him out. He's got all the dad jokes. Got a pretty cool channel, and I have talked to him and may actually see about trying to get Chris on at some point. Come in and join us on a live. Just have to try to work that out and give him a heads up. So, and everybody can see that I'm wearing my repping my Sweet Patina, not a sponsor. Good folks, if you got your classic or hot rod and you're trying to keep it shined up, check out the Sweet Patina. Check them out at sweetpatina.com. Not a sponsor, just good people. So, Gramps, any last moments, any last words, any burning desires?
No, just you know what to say. Keep between the ditch and the shiny side up.
There you go. All right. Well, we'll catch y'all next time.